Check, 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 check. Check, testing, 1, 2. Test, 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 test. Check,
Test,
check.
test. Testing, 1, 2, 3, sibilance.
Make sure Joe's is nice and loud, Pastor.
Come on. So are we putting...
Where's the thing up here?
What do you mean?
Slides. You don't need that thing up here. See what's coming? So you want me to start at which point?
Wings.
We agree with you, Lord. You say, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord, amen. We say, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes. We say, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. We say, yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord, amen. I am pressed but not crushed, persecuted, not abandoned, struck down but not destroyed. I am blessed beyond the curse, for His promise will endure. That His joy is gonna be my strength. And though the sorrow may last for the night, His joy comes with the morning. Yeah. I'm trading my sorrow, I'm trading my shame, I'm laying them down for the joy of the Lord. I'm trading my pain, I'm laying them down for the joy of the Lord. Yeah. Come and set our feet a dancing, put a new song in our heart, oh God, a song of praise and hope. Ooh, la 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 la. Come on. La 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 la. La 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 la. Ooh, la 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Well, let the children of God dance. Let your joy be our strength.
That good?
All right, testing. Awesome. If everybody could have a seat, I'm going to feedback a little bit here.
I'll step over here.
There we go. How's my volume? Is this good? Yeah? He's the harder one to hear. Go ahead. Shut up.
Can you hear me? All right, good.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you guys. For those of you that are returning, awesome. Thank you. For those of you that are new, welcome. And we hope that you will enjoy the evening. So just out of curiosity, who was here last week or saw the video last week? Please raise your hand. Nice. Okay. So how many then are new this week? Awesome. Okay, so for those of you that weren't here last week, you can go to the church YouTube station, which is Spirit and Truth Oneonta, and we actually have it recorded. So I would highly recommend that you watch that because that was kind of laying the ground for the next few weeks. So, but we are very excited to be here. For those of you that don't know us, my name is Frano, my husband Joe. And we have a passion for marriage ministry. We are not certified counselors, whatever that means, but we know what we're talking about. So just trust us because we've used it in our own lives. And if you watch the video, you'll understand what we're talking about. So we have a lot to get through tonight. So we are going to get started. And just so you guys know, originally our intention, because as we go through these, we're actually going to be, allowing people to ask questions and things like that. Originally, we were trying to use a forum that would give us a little bit of privacy, but it didn't work out. That's why we had everybody sign the confidentiality agreements. But I still want you to sign them because I still don't want you blabbing about other people's stuff. But just be aware that if at some point you do ask a question, it is on YouTube Live, so pretty much anybody can watch it. So not quite how we were originally planning, but that's okay. All right, but the good news is no one will see you, they'll only see us, so they won't know who they're talking to. So, all right, so, oops, I'm going the wrong way.
Right.
No, it's going left. Whoa, what's happening? You think you moved something around on me here.
There it is.
That's not it. What's to come? No, this is the wrong one. Hold on. Can you make sure, Pastor, we're on the one that says part 2? I don't know what happened. Something got switched around a little bit. Oh, there we are. Okay, this is good. Okay, so tonight we're going to talk about the differences between men and women. How many of you would agree there's some differences between men? All right, awesome. At least we got one chuckle so far tonight, so that's good. You know what? The truth is God made us all very different, and thank God that He did. It's not a bad thing. I know it's not PC, but we're all different. Okay, and this is something to be happy about because if we weren't different, we wouldn't really have the ability to have the amount of passion and excitement in the relationship because, as Joe's going to demonstrate here, opposites attract. So with magnets, there we go.
All right.
It's a good thing.
Attraction.
But what happens if you have north and north? What happens? Awesome.
Come on, I thought you were strong, Joe.
You can't make it happen.
Wait,
Sorry.
what about all those times you said you were going to work out?
All right, there it
all
goes.
now?
See,
All
I
right,
can do it.
awesome.
All right.
Good job. You can go home now.
Thank you. That's my part.
Awesome. All right, so that's his part.
Yeah, don't destroy my credit cards.
Oh, okay, yeah, put it.
It's too close to my wallet.
All right, so this is a good thing that we are different. So that's what we have to just remember. So are men really from Mars? And yes, they are, and women are definitely from Venus, okay? It literally is as if we are from different planets. Now, most of tonight's information is actually going to be based off of John Gray's book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. It is a secular version of basically understanding men and women. Like I said last week, the good news is whether you're Christian, you're not Christian, really, it's all the same thing. Because any truth, whether you want to admit it or not, really comes from God's Word. So even if it's put in a secular way, it really all is the same. So anyway, so that's what we're going to be covering tonight. So first of all, you have to know your partner and you have to speak their language. Because when you're from a different planet, you really need to learn their language. So we're going to take a look here at this slide. It says God has made us different for a reason. So if you take a look over on the left side, you have the typical male brain. Now, as you can see with all these little spaghetti lines, they actually go mostly on one hemisphere of the brain. So you've got them going up and down. You'll see a couple crossovers, but then on the other side, they go up and down. Now, if you take a look, how different is the woman's brain? Yeah, they're all over the place, okay? That's why we're all over the place, okay? Now, this may appear like a little chaotic on the right, but that's why we are mothers and we carry babies on our hips while we're making dinner and we're answering the phone and we're eavesdropping on our husband's conversation. See, we can do all kinds of things at the same time, and that's a good thing. So because we have all these connectors, it allows us to really be good multitaskers. But one thing you want to think about is think of your brain as made up of many little boxes. And so what happens is you have a box for your relationship with your wife or your husband. You have a box for your job. You have a box for your relationship with God. You have your box for your children. Now, the interesting thing is with men, their brains or their boxes can never touch, okay? And because if they do, they're going to get all stressed out. So with a man, because those connectors are not jumping side to side, they have to be on one side of the brain or the other. It's very difficult to go back and forth. Otherwise, they get really stressed. Now, with women, like we said, they all intertwine. Everything mixes with emotion. See, this is why, men, we never forget anything, especially all the bad things you did. Okay? My mother, God bless her, she sometimes can't remember more recent things, but she'll remember everything my father did the entire 40 years they've been together. And I'm sure I'll be the same way.
Yes, you are.
All right. So, thinking and feeling together is literally exhausting for a man. And it's not that they don't love us and they don't like to talk about, you know, relationships and all that fun stuff. I mean, they probably don't, but the main thing is it's actually pretty exhaustive for them. So what happens is we have to actually access different parts of the brain when we're having when we're communicating. So if I'm sitting here unloading my stress on my wonderful husband, he's thinking on one side of his brain with having emotion and how he's feeling about it and, oh, I feel bad she had this experience. But then he feels, because he's a man, that he has to give some kind of solution. So he's jumping over to the other hemisphere and he's like, oh man, I'm like ready to go to sleep. This is exhausting. Because they have to keep jumping back and forth, back and forth. But basically what you want to do is remember that, you know, overall your husband really wants to make you happy. It's not that he just wants to be miserable. I know some people might argue that, but pretty much they do want to make you happy. It's just that they don't like to fail. And so when they feel like they can't make you happy because they're not communicating properly and they're not understanding you, they get frustrated. And that's when relationships start to fall apart. It's very rarely is it truly that you just don't love your spouse. I mean, why would you have married them if you didn't love them? Okay? But what happens is there just gets so much disappointment and so much feeling of failure, mostly based out of frustration. So like we said, women are good multitaskers. Now look at this. She's actually somewhat happy about all this multitasking that she's doing. But men have a one-track mind. Well, I didn't mean that way. I meant they can't multitask. But they probably do that way also. All right, but you see now he's really stressed out. Now imagine, ladies, most of you probably are moms. And guess what? If we didn't know how to multitask, we'd be in big trouble. So, but that if we don't understand our spouse's heart and their nature, we get easily hurt and that connection starts to fade. And that's exactly what happens. So, two important things you have to think about when you start to feel hurt, okay? And women, we tend to get our feelings hurt a lot more easily than men. So when you start to feel that coming on, I want you to ask yourself two questions. Number one, what is your spouse's heart? Do they really intend to hurt you? Or is it just that they're afraid? Maybe they're scared or uncertain or overwhelmed. Okay? Remember, men will show these emotions very differently. Okay? And so if a man is getting a little bit scared, they might appear angry. But that doesn't mean they're angry at you. It means they're feeling uncertain and they're not liking that. Okay? So always ask yourself, what is my husband's heart? I have to say, I'm certainly not great at a lot of things, but I always try to go back and remember that this man has an amazing heart. Yes, I want to rip his head off sometimes, and I'm sure he wants to rip my head off, but the bottom line is he's a good man and he has a good heart. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't people that are in relationships that maybe they're not married to a good man. Maybe they are abusive and things like that, but that's a different situation. What we're talking about tonight is two people that are in a relationship that really wanted to be in. You might not want to be now because you're ready to just separate, but it's not because you don't really love each other, but you don't see another way out. And what we're trying to do is really just teach you the way into their head and into their heart so that you can try to resolve that, okay? And again, one thing that's also important to keep in mind is that we're talking in generalities, okay? You have to understand that there's going to be different situations where maybe these generalities will not be, they won't be appropriate. So don't just get focused on one thing. If I say, oh, women feel this way and men feel this way, and you're like, I don't feel that way, and then just check out the rest of the night. Because what we're going to talk about next week is why sometimes there's major deviations from what we're going to talk about tonight. And sometimes it's natural and normal for us to go to the other side and maybe behave in a way that someone from the opposite sex might behave. There's normal circumstances that would happen, but we're going to cover all of that next week. So don't get focused on that. If you hear something that doesn't ring true, just ignore it, and we'll touch base about that next week. Okay, so number one, what's your spouse's heart? And number two, could this simply be a difference in how our brains work? Okay? So if their heart is right, or if it's just maybe a different way that we're seeing things, okay? If you have someone that's colorblind and you say that's green and they say no, that's whatever, I mean, you're not going to get mad at the person. You're not going to argue for the rest of the night over it. You're going to say, okay, well, you're just kind of seeing it a little different than I'm seeing it, okay? So you got to ask those two questions. So, all right, I am a woman and I love being a woman. And I'm going to tell it to you straight tonight, just like Joe's going to tell it to you straight about the men. Women are awesome, but how many of you would agree they're very complicated? Okay? We are very complicated.
You can raise your hands,
put your arm
man,
down.
please.
Okay, and believe it or not, men are often actually very simple. All you have to do is tell them what you want and feed them, okay? And they're gonna be happy. No, I'm joking a little bit, but really they are a little bit more simple than women. Now, to be honest with you, I mean, I work with a bunch of awesome women, and that's a great thing, but sometimes it gets complicated, I'm not talking about at my office, I'm just talking in general when women are conversing with women, and sometimes it can get almost a little more stressful than just kind of having a conversation with a man because there's so many emotions involved, okay? And so that's a normal thing, and it's easy to get frustrated when you're dealing with all different kinds of emotions. So just imagine how a poor man feels, okay? The problem we have is that women want you men, to be Sherlock Holmes, okay? Instinctively, it feels much better if we don't have to ask for something. So for example, let's just say you want to go out for dinner tonight, and your husband gets home and he's like, oh, I'm so hungry, what's for dinner? Oh, well, I was just getting ready to start making it. I had such a long day. And I'm thinking to myself, say, let's go out to dinner. Say, let's go out to dinner. And then he's like, oh, man, I'm sorry I had a long day. Well, all right, well, why don't you start making dinner and I'll go work out. Yeah, that's great. Okay? But he's not realizing that, okay, I'm hinting that I want to go out to dinner. All right? And so what happens is we want them to read our minds, but the bottom line is they don't know how to read our minds. Okay? So really, you're better off to just, in the long run, just say, look, this is what I would like, this is what I need, and then trust that they're going to give that to you. So sometimes, if I'm feeling a little, low self-confidence or whatever, I'll say, honey, do you think I'm pretty?
You look beautiful, honey.
Oh, thank you. And then one time he's like, Shirley, that's so lame. Why? Does that even mean anything to you? And I'm like, well, I know your heart. I know you're not going to lie to me. And he was like, oh, okay. Now listen, believe me, that's not as fun as if he just says, oh, honey, you're beautiful. That's obviously much better. But if you need it, you need it. You just ask for it, all right? But unfortunately, it's not that simple. So, okay. How many of you have uttered the words, what's wrong, honey? Have you ever said that? Okay. All right, this is a loaded question. All right? The reason it's loaded is because when you live on Mars like men do, it means one thing, and when you live on Venus like women do, guess what? It means something totally different. So when a man appears upset, you're going to say, I'll say, okay, honey, what's wrong?
Nothing.
Nothing, okay? Nothing on Mars means either nothing's wrong or it's nothing that I actually want to talk about, okay? But on Venus, when a woman says nothing's wrong,
What's wrong, honey?
nothing,
Okay.
then yeah, that's what he's going to say, but that's not the right thing to say. Because on Venus, we want to see, well, how much does he love me? Is he going to drag it out of me? Okay? And so when we say nothing, very rarely is it nothing. It could be nothing for the man, but usually it's something for the woman. But really what we want is them to care enough to stay present with us in the moment and ask us more questions. Now, is there a time where a woman might really not want that? Once in a while. But if you're really, truly in your core at that moment, which we'll talk about next week, you're really going to want him to drag it out of you, okay? So if Joe keeps asking me questions and I keep resisting, and he finally says, hon, look, I love you enough. I'm not going to settle for nothing. Tell me what's wrong so that I can help you. I mean, am I going to get mad at him? I mean, absolutely not, all right? But if you did that to a man in the moment, they might get a little upset because they need that time to just clear their mind before they can talk and connect about things. Now, when a man can't solve a problem, because that's really what men were designed to do, is to solve problems, okay? But when they can't solve problems, what do they want to do? They want to forget it, okay? So, as a matter of fact, they actually did a study that men that basically quit their jobs, like they retire, if they don't keep themselves actively solving problems, doing things, within about 6 months, they typically will have a massive heart attack. Because when men are solving problems and they're working and they're doing things and they feel a purpose in life, they actually produce more levels of testosterone. And what they find is that basically when you get too low levels of testosterone, that's when a man is more likely to actually have a heart attack. And so that's why even when our husbands retire, we can't expect them to do, sit there with us all day. They have to be busy. They have to be doing things. So when a woman is upset, like I said, she says nothing and she just wants you to ask more questions. But remember, women love to communicate, and communicating allows them to connect, not only with their girlfriends, but with their husbands as well, okay? And so they really want you to pull them out. Why are women, one second, Deb, why are women so often, why do we need that? Because very often we have men especially that will shoot us down when we're trying to communicate. So they get very hurt, okay? Sometimes it starts early with our fathers, where we're trying to communicate and they want our attention and they're like, I'm busy, or why are you being annoying? You're talking too much. But that's their way of trying to connect. And so then as they grow older, they get in a relationship or get married, then they basically want to connect through their problems. But then if their husbands shoot them down, then they get afraid. They don't want to be rejected, okay? So that's why we need you guys to draw us out. Yes, Steph?
When we had I wanted to go to dinner and he didn't know, couldn't get a chance.
Yeah.
You have to tell him, right? But guess what? You probably have to tell him what's wrong, too.
Yeah, well, the thing is, and I teach this, and I still tell myself that, but in the moment, it's very hard to do because you really want him to be your hero, okay? And it's like, dude, I've been married to you for like how long? 16? 16 years. Like, don't you know my face?
I know she does.
You just want them to like be your hero. You want them to know that something's wrong. But again, Deb's right. Sometimes you really just need to say, hey, you know what? You're not getting the clues. I need to kind of tell you something's going on, okay? Because that translates to that you love them. Okay, we already touched base on that. Okay, so in man's infinite wisdom, he does exactly what he wants done. So if we say, if he wants us to just leave him alone, if we say nothing, basically he's going to try to just leave you alone because that's what he would want. Okay? Just like when we talked about, those of you that were here for the Valentine's Day thing, we talked about the love languages, which we're going to talk about down the road. But we often do our own love language on our spouse because we just assume that's what everybody likes. It's just an automatic response. Okay? But that obviously doesn't work. And then, of course, in woman's infinite wisdom, she basically tries to drag things out of him when he's upset, which ends up being an issue. So you have to understand that men and women handle stress very, very differently. Like we said, if they can't solve the problem, they just want to totally forget about it. And so With women, you have to make sure you don't give unsolicited advice, okay? The best thing you can do is I see somebody agrees with me. The best thing you can do is basically listen to them and be there for them, be present in the moment, okay? But being present is very difficult because that means not only looking at them, but not thinking about, oh, I'd rather be working out, or oh, I'd rather be watching TV. Because listen, we're smart, we know. We know when you're distracted. And guess what? Then that doesn't count. Like 0 points for that. Oh, you want me to tell that story?
No.
Oh, but I'm going to tell it anyway. All right, so, and this wasn't even planned, but I'm so excited I thought of this. So, one night I was really stressed out. How many hours was that? So literally, I was really stressed, and we were talking for probably like 3 hours. I had all this stuff, whatever, to unload. And so we get literally to the last 5 minutes, and I'm just winding down, and then all of a sudden he's like, hon, can we go to bed now? And I looked at him, and I'm like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, literally, you just erased the last 4 hours. Because I was like, felt so hurt that he cut me short. And literally, it was as if, and then he ended up being up another hour to kind of reconcile the whole thing. And again, I wasn't trying to be jerky, but I just felt like, really? Like, you were so tender and awesome to this whole thing, and now you're going to end it by saying, can we go to bed? You know, I mean, it was midnight, and he did have to get up in the morning, but it just messed it up.
And a guy's supposed to know, obviously, when the sixth hour is supposed to end, and it's going to finish the whole thing, but Sherlock Holmes, I wasn't.
Yes. All right, so we talked about the boxes in the brain. So, Joe, what's the favorite box that the men have?
What's that?
What's the favorite box that people have in their, the men have in their brain?
The nothing box.
The nothing box, exactly. So there is one little special box especially in a man's brain, that basically is the nothing box, okay? That means that's a place where they can go and think of nothing, okay? So that's why they can do brainless things for hours on end and we get annoyed, okay? So video games, TV, sports, okay? And how annoying is that? Like, did you see your honey list today? Like, what's going on? Okay, but the problem is they need that nothing box in order for them to be present for you. And so it's very important, and that's what we need to learn, is to be able to honor that. So we've heard of the infamous man cave, right? Okay, Joe, tell them a little bit about the man cave.
Do I get the remote?
If you
or no?
want.
I want the remote.
There you go.
Thank you. All right, so men, what is your cave?
The man cave, they like remotes in the man cave.
What does your cave look like? Let's see what we've got up here first of all.
Uh-oh, what'd you do? See, that's why I was going to hold on to the remote.
I hit the button that I'm supposed to hit.
Oh no, did you turn it off? Oh, good.
I think she put a blank slide in there to get me in trouble. That's what that was, actually.
That was not planned.
I don't know what that is. The man cave.
There you go, Jordan.
What do we got there? We've got TV. All right, obviously, Pastor, you built a cave up on the hill there. It had that. The newspaper, because then you look at the world and you see all their problems. You're like, mine aren't that big a deal. All right. Obviously, we got to show our trophies, okay, whatever we've achieved.
To remember the last time they dominated something.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
It might be 20 years ago, but we still look at it like, wow, look at that. And then obviously, you know, there's the lifting of the weights, okay?
It's his favorite.
It's one of my favorite things, all right? I can go definitely into my nothing box when I get there. But every man, you know, when they just need to get away from it all and unwind, whatever that could be. It could be driving, it could be hunting, it could be hiking, it could be whatever, disconnecting from the world. That's pretty much what they're looking for. All right, when a man hides, he does not want to be found, okay? When a woman hides, she's wanting you to look for her. Very different situation. All right, so she wants you to be found and you don't find her, it basically means you don't care enough, okay? So you obviously need to keep looking in those situations. Immediately seek her out when you get home and get a point. What does that mean? What kind of point? They keep track. Remember, emotions, they link everything to emotions.
Don't jump ahead.
Okay. They want to keep, you know, you get 1 point for that situation.
Yes.
Don't jump ahead?
Yes.
Would you like this back? You're saying that?
Actually, I got to talk about it.
I think she wants it back. All right.
There we go.
There she
Awesome.
goes. That's my time to shine.
All right. So now we're going to talk about the emotional purse. Okay, so we have the man cave, and then we have the emotional purse. So the emotional purse is everything a gal needs to connect to her man. Okay? So now the woman has the emotional purse. Okay? It's big, and we collect things in it.
Don't touch my wallet. That's fine.
Cheapers. And that men have an emotional wallet, which obviously is intended to not carry hardly anything, okay? Because then they make us carry everything in the purse.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we are going to do a little skit, and I'm going to call Becky up. She's going to help us with this. And I worked very hard on this skit, and it's very professional, and you know, I did all the choreography myself, so hopefully you're impressed. But what we're going to do is we're going to demonstrate how the emotional purse and how the emotional wallet works, okay? So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to show you how I collect things in my emotional purse all day long. And then I'm going to come home to my wonderful husband. Do you have all of your things ready? Mm-hmm. You sure?
I do.
All right, good. And we're going to show you the way to do it, and then we're going to, to not do it, and then we're going to show you the way to actually do it. Okay, so here I go. So I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh yeah, had a good night's rest. Hopefully today's gonna be a great day. So I'm walking down and oh no, the puppy pooped on the floor and it's in between my toes. Oh my goodness, in the emotional purse. Oh no, it took me 20 minutes to clean that up. The kids are gonna be late to school in the emotional purse. Well, I'm gonna go to work now, so hopefully things will get better. They have to get better. So, all right, so I arrive at work, and I'm gonna look over my schedule. What? The staff triple booked me? I'm gonna be an hour behind. Oh my goodness. Well, at least my favorite patient is my first patient, so I'm sure this'll make me feel much better. Oh, get in there. There we go. All right. Well, hi, Becky.
Hi.
Good to see you. How are you today?
Well, I'm pretty good, but I wanted to talk to you about something. Dr. Shirley, I just don't feel like chiropractic care and the treatments are helping me at all, so I'm gonna discontinue coming.
Oh, I thought you were doing better.
Well, I was, but between, you know, the wintertime always having to shovel and my work is interpreting, I'm never gonna get better, so what's the point?
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Now, boy, that's not a really good end to my day, that's for sure. Well, I'm going to go home, and I'm sure my husband will let me unload my emotional purse, and everything will be all better. Joe, I'm home. Oh, thank you. I'm home. Where are you? Joe?
Hey, Bob. Hey, I've got a bunch to go over here still with you. I'll be with you in a few minutes. All right. Yeah, so tell me a little bit more about that.
So 30 minutes later...
Well, hey, Bob, yeah, I really got to get a workout in, okay, and I know we're going to have dinner here soon, so I'll try to talk to you a little bit later. All right, thanks. Bye.
Hi.
Hey, hon, how you doing?
Good.
Good.
How are you?
Good. How was your day?
Well, it was okay.
Really? Yeah, what's going on?
Well, it was okay.
Okay. Well, I'm glad. All right, so I was talking about way longer than I'd hoped to. I gotta squeeze my workout in or I'm not going to get it, and you know, it kills me if I don't do that, okay? So can you get dinner ready, and I'll be done in about like 30 minutes?
Can I just tell you about my day first?
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, tell me about it.
Okay, all right.
So, do you mind if I get changed while we do this? Save me a few minutes?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, cool.
All right, so I got up this morning, and oh my gosh, you're not going to believe it. Roxy pooped on the floor.
Oh, man.
And it got stuck in between my toes.
Wait.
And it took me like 20 minutes to clean it up.
Was it like right when she got up? I told you, as soon as you get her out of the crate, rush her right to the door, and she's always going to go outside. I mean, there's no chance for her to even get on the floor.
But then I ended up 20 minutes late with the kids to school.
You were late again? I mean, the kids actually get tardies on their, the report cards when they're late to school.
Well, try picking poop out from between your toes.
Well, I know, but if you got Roxy out of the crate quick enough and got her out the door, you'd be fine.
Whatever. Okay. But then I get to the office and they triple booked me again.
I told you at the last meeting to talk to the staff about not doing that. I mean, simple fix.
Well, your staff too.
I understand. All right.
All right. Well, then last... You're not going to believe it. Remember I was telling you about my favorite patient, Becky?
Yeah.
So she shows up today, and yesterday she was like, you're so awesome, I feel so great.
Awesome,
and then guess what? Now she says today that she went shoveling and she hurt her back, so she's saying, oh, chiropractic doesn't work. Like, can you imagine? Like, she was doing so much better.
Did she go to the new patient workshop where we tell them about all these things that they're supposed to be doing at home, like stretches and not doing too much shoveling?
I don't know, hon. All right, why don't you go do your workout?
You sure?
Yeah, just go ahead.
All right, cool. All right, I'll see you in about half an hour.
Okay.
All right, cool.
Awesome. All right, that's the way we don't do it, okay? Because he's not doing anything that helps and supports me. So now, we're gonna do it the right way. All right. Joe, I'm home.
Hey, I'll be right with you.
Okay.
Hey, Bob, my wife just got home. I haven't seen her all day, all right? I'll talk to you in a few minutes. All right, thanks.
Hi.
Hey,
Aw,
what's up,
that's
honey?
nice.
What's going on?
How are you?
How's your day?
Oh, it was okay.
Okay, tell me about it. What's up?
Oh, it was all right. Don't worry about it.
Well, hon, I've been with you for 16 years. I know all right is not the.
I know, but I know you have a board meeting tonight. Go ahead, go do your workout.
No, it's fine. No, tell me about it. What's going on?
It's okay. No, I don't want to make you late.
Hon, please. I'm not going to be able to work out or focus if I know that you're upset about something. What's going on?
All right. Well, first of all, Roxy pooped on the floor and it got between my toes.
I hate that. That is crazy.
Then I was late dropping the kids off.
Oh, I'm sorry, honey.
Then they triple booked me at the office.
Again?
I know. And then, worst thing, my favorite patient said chiropractic doesn't work after she felt awesome yesterday.
I hate when that happens. I mean, you put so much time into them, and sometimes it's just not going to work out.
I know. But anyway, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is there anything I can do?
Oh, it's okay. I'll be all right.
You sure?
Oh, thank you. I actually feel better now.
Okay, cool. Is there, you want some help with dinner or anything like that?
No, it's okay. You go ahead.
Okay.
Thank you, honey.
You sure?
I'm positive. Stop.
All right. All right.
All right. So you can see how, did he have to work really hard at that? Well, the first time he did. Because the first time he had to go and solve all those problems, which, I know men like solving problems, but that's not really what we want. We want you to be present, we want you to care, and we want you to feel what we're feeling. We don't want you to say, oh, don't worry about it, whatever. That's not what we want. We want you to feel what we are actually feeling for the moment and just be caring. And almost instantly, it really significantly decreases our stress load. Now, we still may have things we have to handle, obviously, depending on how bad it is, but it's a lot better. So now we're going to really quickly demonstrate the male wallet. All right.
Hey, hon, I'm home.
Hi, how are you? We're gonna.
Static.
Yeah, okay.
I'm okay.
Hi, honey, how was your day?
That was all right.
Oh, what's wrong?
Nothing. It's fine.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Come on, it helps to talk about it.
Hon, no, I'm fine. I just really want to get a workout in, so I don't.
You need to talk about it. What's wrong? Did the staff do something? Are you upset with me?
Nothing. No, it's no big deal. I mean, you did nothing. You're fine. I need to really get a workout in.
I really think
it's
we
like
should talk
I'm already
about
like
it.
20 minutes late from home, from work, and I gotta get a
I
workout.
think we should talk about it. You'll feel
Hon, no, I do not want to talk about it. Please. I mean, I've had a stressful enough day. You're making it worse.
All right. Okay. So that's how we don't want to do it, because he obviously needs some time to cool down before he can connect with his feelings. So here's the way we should do it.
Hey, hon, I'm home.
Hi.
Hey
How was your day?
Good. It was okay.
Oh, is everything okay?
Yeah, it's a little crazy, but everything's all right.
Oh, did you want to talk about it?
Not right now. Maybe later, but I want to get a quick workout in.
Need a little cave time?
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll tell you what. I'll go make dinner, and if
okay.
you want to talk later, I'll be here, okay?
Cool, thanks.
Love you.
I appreciate it. It'll be about 20, 30 minutes.
All right, awesome.
All right, thanks.
Now, he pulls away, he gets his time, then he can come back and actually be present in the moment. And that's ultimately what we want.
How was our acting? Woo! All right. Gonna take it on the road. All right, cool.
Some push-ups.
Yeah.
He practiced it 5 minutes before we started.
Notice the difference, though, people. There is a magnitude difference there, all right?
Yes, the take-home message. Men, get good at letting your wife unload her purse daily. The problem with most of the marriages here and what people that are watching is the purses are overflowing. Okay, I have to say, now remember, we have tons of people watching online and everybody filled out surveys, so I'm not talking about anybody in this room. But when I was reviewing those surveys that people filled out, I actually started crying because it saddened me so much how unhappy people are in their marriages. And to know that throughout, the world, the web and throughout here, there's actually people that are thinking about getting divorced. And to me, that just rips my heart out because I know that all they need to do is actually reconnect in this way, okay? A woman needs her purse unloaded every single day. The good news, guys, is if once you start, it might be, a little bit. It might take 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but once you do it...
2 hours.
But once you do it, it's only going to be a couple minutes because her love tank is going to be full. But right now, most likely she's depleted. It's kind of like having a negative balance in your bank account. Most of the women are depleted, okay? My husband is actually amazing, but sometimes I feel very depleted because not because he's not a good man, not because he doesn't treat me very well, but because he gets caught up in what he's trying to do to provide for us and, you know, run the school and do this and do that, that sometimes I'm on the back burner. You know, but when you have a positive balance in your love tank, that's okay once in a while. But when you're running constantly on empty, you get negative, 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 negative. And so that's the problem, is there's no room for those that are in a negative balance to be able to, you know, to make mistakes and have rough days because they just keep getting them further into debt. Does that make sense? Okay, so learn to let your wife unload her purse daily. And women, you have to really get comfortable with respecting the need for cave time. Believe me, I would love for my husband to just want to sit and talk all day and, you know, be with me. But the bottom line is he has a lot of other responsibilities. He has people that need him. He has things that he has to do. But also for him to be the best husband, he has to have that away time. That's very important. So the question is, well, what comes first, the cave or the purse? If you both get home and you both had a bad day, what do? Okay? Whenever possible, men, you should let your wife unload her purse first. But the bottom line is there's going to be times where the cave is like an immediate thing, okay? Because when they have a really bad day, they're not even, forget it, they're not going to be able to be there for you emotionally. So sometimes you have to kind of decide, okay, who had the worst day, and you're going to have to sacrifice for that person. And so you really have to just be sensing that in your spirit on who really needs to do their thing first. So what if the woman seems to have the wallet and the man has the purse? Okay, we briefly touched on that. And this actually is what next week is going to be all about, is what happens when we seem to almost have a role reversal in a sense. Okay, and remember, these are generalities. There's going to be exceptions. There are certain situations where, you know, we may have to have a little bit of that role reversal. But what happens is when we're living out of our core, we become very unhappy if we do that for a long period of time. So next week is really going to be all about that. But sometimes it actually is, you know, a natural thing. Sometimes if a man has major loss, you know, sometimes they need to unload a purse instead of run to the cave. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, and yeah, extreme hurt is often what does that. So, yay, now we're going to talk about points. Okay, who likes to win points? Okay, so everybody loves getting extra points. You get extra credit on your test, you get, you know, extra points on your, you know, miles card or whatever. Everybody loves points, okay? So what we're going to do is talk about how men and women score each other differently, okay? So let me ask you a question. You bring your wife a rose, a single rose, how many points do you get? A dozen? Okay. You only get 1 point for that. Okay. So what happens if you bring her a dozen roses? You get 12? Nope, just 1 point. Sorry. But what happens if you clean the house unsolicited? 10? Nope. Only 1. All right, but we have one last one here. A surprise trip to Hawaii that you planned. You even packed her bags. How many points?
You packed her bags?
Only 1. The problem is women only give 1 point for every act of love. That's it. Doesn't matter how big, doesn't matter how small. 1 point, okay? So, I know what he's thinking. I don't know, something happened today and I said, that's only 1 point. All right, but the difference is with men, okay, the point system is very different. So with men, you get big points for big things, and you get little points for little things, okay? And men, they score their own points in their mind by basically stature in society. So obviously they love their cars, right, Pastor? We love our cars. And they love, you know, accomplishing things, and they love to say how much they can lift in the gym because they get points in their own mind that way. Okay, but they would get more points for running a touchdown than they would for supporting someone else that did it. Okay, because they're not into, you don't get points for supporting somebody else. You got to get the glory and you got to run the touchdown. Okay, so we are so such
Pay
interesting
attention.
creatures
Please pay
that
attention.
we will warn you ahead of time so you can get the points, because we really want you to get the points, okay? So, honey, guess what? I'm going to get my hair done on Thursday.
Oh,
And
okay.
he's thinking,
Sure.
why are you telling me that? Do you really, I don't care, okay? But why? Because we want to tell you in advance so that you can get the point. But if you forget and you don't say, oh, honey, I love your hair, and we have to say, well, do you like my hair? Then you get no points, okay? So if you remember, you get the point. If you don't remember, you lose the point.
Yeah, you lose 10 points.
Exactly, okay? Now, the key, guys, is you have to focus on lots of small stuff, okay? Because everything is the same point, so why wouldn't you just do a lot of small stuff and really not worry about all the extra big stuff? I mean, think about it. Planning a trip to Hawaii, packing your bags, oh my goodness, what a nightmare. It's only 1 point, so you're better off to just do lots of little things, right? So maybe leave her a rose one day, leave her a note the next day, bring her a cup of coffee every now and then, and you're getting lots of points, and that's a good thing. So if you remember way back when you guys were dating, everybody can remember that far back, okay? Dating is all the small stuff, okay? So why? Because we need to win their hearts, they need to win our hearts.
Absolutely.
And so they will compliment you, they'll leave notes on your car, they'll do all kinds of stuff. And even when you're first married, you'll drive forever to go to Panera to get your wife like a surprise meal. That was for Sam. Yeah, which was really sweet, by the way. I made notes on that. That was awesome. Okay, but we do all these sweet things because we know they know they're trying to win our heart, okay? But really, a successful marriage is the small stuff. Now, there is some big stuff, but it's mostly the small stuff. And any of you that are either watching online or here that maybe your marriage is struggling, I guarantee you forgot the small stuff. I guarantee you're not treating her or him the way you did when you first got married. Remember we said last week, if you always treat them like you did at the beginning of the relationship, you'll never have an end to the relationship. And that's very true, because we need to be raving fans of each other, okay? If I'm constantly, and again, I'm not saying you have to just, quit your job and just focus on making your wife or your husband happy, but if I'm constantly trying, every couple weeks or so to just do something nice, I mean, it's going to save you so much trouble down the road. Think of all those long fights and conversations, guys. It's really not that difficult to just do something nice and show your wife that you care. But what happens is you get to a point where you're just like so hurt, you just don't even care anymore, and it's not even worth the effort. And it really wouldn't even take that much effort to make her feel special again. So it is all the small stuff. Now, the problem we have is men have something called an efficiency gene. Has anyone ever heard of the efficiency gene? They don't want to do anything they don't have to do. Okay? So, when you first get married and you say, honey, will you take out the trash? Oh, absolutely, I'll take the trash out. Yes, you're happy, okay, to do that. But as time goes on and you get comfortable and you say, honey, will you take out the trash? What do I look like, your janitor? Okay, that's what I'm like, wow, bad day? Jeepers, why don't you go to your cave? Oh, you've done that before? Well, now you know what not to do. So compliments were given when we were dating. So in a man's mind, we already did that. I told you were beautiful. Why do I need to tell you again? I married you. Doesn't that mean something? Actually, I hear this from my father all the time, My mom will want to be compliment. I know, they're watching. I love you guys. But, it's like after, 40 years of marriage, it's like, if she doesn't know by now that I love her, then shame on her, okay? But with women, we need to be reminded, because we remember the bad things, but we forget the good things. That's the problem. So you have to remind us about the good things, okay? And we call it lazy, but men call it efficient. So stop being lazy.
Amen.
All right, so the 3 big musts. You want to do this one?
Sure. Is it going to go black again on me? Am I going to
I
get
don't
trouble
know.
here?
We'll see.
All right, 3 big musts to win and keep your lady's heart.
You might want to look at this one.
I'm going to look at this one. All right. All right, must go to work, even if she's a millionaire. Okay? So you could be married into wealth here. She's pouring in the money. It's not about the money. It's the provision that going to work will actually do for her. Okay? Women lose respect and attraction, actually, if we're not providing in those ways, in many ways. Okay, there's a security button that many women have, and if I can't work, okay, will you take care of me? So basically, if she can't, she wants to look to me to basically take care of that need in whatever way possible. One of man's primary goals in life is to make his lady happy. Now, we try to slay the dragon. We try to do all the big things as much as we can, but sometimes, as she said, we lose sight of the small things for sure. So God ingrained in their DNA to provide for their family. He feels great when his wife is happy. So, I would feel great if my wife's happy. So I think that by going and doing certain things, it's going to make her happy. And we often get shot down when attempting to do this. Men ever feel that way? Want to make your wife happy? Think you've done a good job of it? And at the end of the day, there's an argument, upset, frustration. You're like, whoa, guess all that hard work really wasn't worth it. So sometimes the motivation to do it starts to diminish. And I'll never make her happy. Why try? Start to give up a little bit. No, but next day you have a little bit of a reset, so you do it again, but you don't have quite the same motivation as maybe you did the day before. Women must acknowledge their attempts no matter what. It's an important thing. All right, because if someone tries, I mean, think of a little child. They come and bring you a picture. Here, Dad, here, Mom. Do you look at it and say, that is not very artistic. I think you need to work harder and bring it to me when you're done. You wouldn't do it, okay? They're putting their heart onto that paper. They try to present it to you, and you'd smash it in a million pieces if you do it. If men try to go out there and work in a hard world and do everything that's expected of us, and you come back and here's the bacon, honey, okay? Maybe it's not as big a bacon package as you want, whatever else, okay? But they're trying. Acknowledge it. Because if you do, just like that child, hey, good job. In your mind, you're like, that looks pretty awful, okay? But you really encourage them. It's a starting point. They'll start to want to do more, and they'll grow, and they'll develop. And that's exactly what men need, a little bit of acknowledgement. 1 Timothy 5:8, but if any provide not for his own, and especially for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. Man's provision for his family is that important. Know that scripture. Study that scripture. And we as men know that. So if we're not feeling like we're fulfilling that, we feel like a failure. Okay? And women can help encourage us to not feel that way. Okay? And to help us with our small efforts, to gain bigger efforts, to then eventually try to conquer the world again.
Now, obviously, one thing that's important to point out there is, obviously, there's exceptions. I mean, if a man is totally disabled and his wife has to provide for the family, that's a different story. But in some way, that man, to feel like a man, still needs to do something to feel like he's providing in some way, whatever that is. Okay, so obviously, we have to keep that clear, because there are men that unfortunately they've hurt themselves really badly, or they're really ill, and they can't be the main breadwinner. But it's not about the money, it's about the provision. So if that's the case with you, you have to think of, is there another way that I can provide for her to make her feel secure in our relationship, secure in our finances? What can I do to try to contribute to that?
And many men will think that provision only comes through work as well. Mm-hmm. Completely wrong. You can go and do everything and conquer the world and then not help her unload her emotional purse. No provision there. You're totally leaving
no
her.
Points.
Many negative points there. Number 2, what else would men do? They must come home right after work, or they must call. All right? So let's just kind of thinking of her.
Another story.
Okay? Oh, no. Okay. Are we going to go into that one?
So about a month ago.
See, I always know which story she's thinking of because she remembers them all, and I kind of do too at this point.
Okay, so finally, my husband starts doing something for himself. He's very unselfish. For many years when the kids were young, he did nothing for himself. Finally, he loves soccer. He joined this soccer team all the way in Cooperstown, which I wasn't thrilled about that because I worry about him driving back and forth and all that stuff, the woman stuff. But one night, it was really bad weather, and I'm like, Joe, you really should consider not going.
Well, it was the first game, actually.
Yeah, it was his first game, and he's like, no, I'll be fine. And so I'm like sitting there, like biting my tongue, trying to not really say, are you really an idiot? Like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, all right, well, I'm really uncomfortable with it, but I know it's important to you. Okay, I said, please call me as soon as you get there. And he's like, okay. So next thing you know, he's probably about 5 or 10 minutes away. He texts me. He says, well, the roads were pretty good until about now, but it's getting a little snowier as I get closer. So I'm thinking, oh, great. Now I'm really worried. And then basically half hour later, 40 minutes later, I don't hear from him. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And so the kids are there. I'm really trying to not just like cry hysterical. And we know if we have a friend that's a trooper, I'm thinking, okay, do I need to call him to go try to find him?
He was playing with me that night.
Which,
actually.
great, wasn't helpful. And so finally I'm like, all right, I just need to call the Clark Sports Center and see if he's there. So I call and I'm like, hi, my husband drove quite a ways. And the roads are bad. I was just wondering if you could find out whether he's there. And I figured, they sign in the front desk or something. And she's like, oh, I don't know. She said they've already started the game. And I'm like, well, can you go find out? I said, because I'm like ready to like throw up right now. Literally, I said that. And she's like, oh, okay. She's like, all right, let me go check. And she said, if he's there, I'll have him call you right away. So next thing you know, I get a text. He's like, I texted you and said I was here. And I'm like, my phone didn't get a text. So I don't know whose phone he texted, but literally I was like, so upset. And this is not a control thing, guys. Honestly, I love this man, okay? He is the father of my children, okay? And a woman, all of a sudden, their mind just goes to, okay, he's dead in a ditch, this happened, that happened. That's what I'm thinking of. And it's not that we're trying to control you, but that's just women. That's how we work, so there.
So in my mind, call, 15 minutes into it, speak on the phone there. I'm at a stop point, so I texted her, about the roads. Before I get there, I'm actually in the parking lot before I go in the building. Type out the text, hit it, send. And she responds after that text. So I'm like, oh, when you respond after a text, it means you've looked at the phone, right? You've got it. But it said nothing about what was in my text. Okay, like no response. Oh, glad you got there, something like that. So
which I always say.
I haven't played soccer in 20 years, and I'm going to play against these like 18 and 20-year-olds, so I'm all bugging out. So I go in there, and I'm all focused on that, getting ready, and like trying to not look like a loser. And then all of a sudden, like halfway into the game, this woman comes up, your wife is like crying on the phone. She's about ready to vomit. She wanted to know that you got here. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, I go to my phone, and I think the text, if I'm not mistaken, the text was still there. The little button to send it didn't actually get hit properly. So, but when she texted me, it kind of like kicked mine out of like the queue in a sense there. So I'm thinking, boy, I did all this. I'm planning the whole way to make her feel good, to appease the fact that she's upset. Utter failure, okay? And I'm doing everything I can to do it right. And what does she remember? I did it wrong, okay? She still understands my heart. There's been a little bit of forgiveness in that situation, but she still remembers the story because you're all hearing it.
Well, what did I say? Then he's like, well, I'm just going to quit. He said, I can't have you stressing out like this. You're going to end up sick and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, Joe, this is like the thing that brings joy to your life. I don't want to take this away from you. I'm like, I'm just asking for a simple phone call. So then he chilled out and everything was cool.
So we're all good.
Yeah, we're all good.
All right. So it shows concern and respect for her. Guys, yes, we're like, yeah, I'd be fine. I mean, if the roads weren't that bad, obviously you'd want to know if she got there, whatever. But sometimes we're just like, life's going on, things are happening, and you're like, yeah, I'm sure she's fine. She goes to work every day, right? I'm sure she got there. I'd hear sirens, there'd be a call, something would happen. So it's almost like a different level of we can just keep going on with what we're doing. But with women, in many cases, they're really focused on you. They need that assurance in some way that it's going to be okay. Decreases their worry, makes men feel controlled, though, doesn't it? Does she really need to be texted? Like, what? Does she think I'm going to go out and get in trouble and do something else and I'm not really being truthful or something else? No, they just, want to know what's going on, okay? Like they are checking in with their mother, all right? Because we had to do that when, we take the car out when we're 17. Tell me as soon as you get there, who are you going to be with? All this other stuff. Sounds pretty similar in many ways. But she's not our mother, okay? We must be faithful to her. Seems simple, but it is something that often people fail in and leads to the worst challenges with relationships. So once you get these three main points in line, then you can start racking up other points, but not until the first three are secured.
That's right. If these first three are not sealed, you're done. You need these first three to start getting other points.
Yeah, the flour probably would not have made up for my utter failure with the lack of phone call there. But time heals wounds. All right. So women can bring out the best in men, just not by nagging and complaining. Oh, come on, I want to do that part.
They won't take it from you as well.
All right, so.
Okay.
He looks happy with those things on, though, didn't he?
All right, so when a man first gets married, he says, oh, I just hope and pray she never changes. But when a woman gets married, she says, yay, now I can help him become even better. Okay? So our whole desire is to try to change you, but in a good way. It's our heart's there. We want to do a good work. We want to help you become even better. But he just wants us to be the same person that he fell in love with, and that's it. So then why do women nag and complain so much? Listen, you know we do, women. It's just true. It's in hopes of helping them to become even better. So we think if we nag, they're going to get the point that they should change. Doesn't work. Nope. Okay? Nope. But behind every nag and complaint is actually a hidden request. And that's what you guys need to know. All right? So.
Story?
Well, we'll skip that.
Okay, good.
But there's always a hidden request. So just try to say, okay, what is my wife trying to say when she's nagging me about this thing? Okay? If she's nagging you because you're watching too much TV, Dad, okay, Mom means I want to spend more time with you. I hope they're watching, okay? Because that's important. And so if you go and do that, then she will most likely stop nagging because the request was fulfilled. Again, but from our intention, it's not really to control you. It's not like we're trying to henpeck you and make you a weak man and all this stuff. That's crazy. We are really just trying to connect with you or just try to refine you a little bit. That's all.
But really quick on that, men, really think about that situation. Yeah, you had a long day, you're watching TV. It's been 30 minutes, cave time, turns into an hour, and you're really into it. And your wife really just wants to talk to you. She wants your attention, she wants your affection. If we really think about it, it's like, oh, she's interrupting my movie, my news, my thing which will recycle and be almost the same exact thing the next day, let's say for news. How important is that truly? Versus her wanting you, her loving you, and you showing her that with direct contact, face, nice light touch, okay, respect. But we get so caught up in our side of it. Oh, this was getting so good. Oh, I have seen this 25 times and I always seem to miss this part, so I'll watch it again. And ignore the cry for attention from your wife. And then at the end of the day, we're surprised that she's upset or frustrated or maybe not in the mood, okay? That's another thing that we can, what's going on? Our relationship just seems like, just that part of it, the spark is gone, honey, and all that other stuff. But think about it, those little simple cries for help, just like a little girl wanting daddy's attention. If he doesn't give it to her, eventually she's not going to really keep wanting his attention.
Remember, when it comes to physical intimacy, a woman will only open up to you if you fill her love tank first. Okay? Unless, I don't mean to be gross, but unless she does that as a job, she's not going to do that. Okay? Because women need to be filled up to be able to open up to you in a physical way. But men, they don't, they can do whatever, whenever, because that's just how they're wired. But we're wired very differently, and that's a good thing. And so by investing a little bit of time, you're getting a return, and not just in a physical way, but in an emotional way. I mean, at the end of your life, when you sit in your rocking chair and you look back on your life when you're about to pass away, you're not going to wish you watched more TV. You're not going to wish you sat and watched more football and did stupid crap and played video games the whole time. You're going to see, wow, my little kids are grown up now. Now I can't play with them and throw them up in the air and catch them and do fun things. You're going to wish that you connected more, because even though men are not massively into, connection like on every second like we are, really that's the juice of life. That's what makes life beautiful. And even men at the end of their life will remember emotional connection, because the reason women remember everything is because we make everything emotional. But with men, they purposely have to go and create emotion in those moments. That's why it's really great to take like a family vacation if you can, even if you don't have a lot of money. Maybe it's just a day away or an overnight or whatever you can afford to do, because it forces you out of the normal world. And it gives you a renewal. It allows you to create memories and emotion. And then these are the things that really juice people in their life.
And real quick, what she gave an example of there, at the end of your life, you're thinking about these things. But think about it this way. Often, men, I'll speak to the men for a minute, you're so busy in life preparing this and doing that, okay, and then the family needs your time, okay, to be home right after work, or instead of being out mowing the lawn and doing all these busy things to provide for your family, they want your time. But oh, I'm too busy to do all these things, and that's your provision. You think that it is. And men will do that often for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Maybe their kids grew up, they're out of the house, and if they're still with their spouse, okay, it's often kind of just a friendship, they're hanging out, whatnot. But then they become grandparents. And then men have had a long enough reflection on life to see that as a grandfather, now they really want to give that attention to the grandkids, and they want to be around the family and all this other stuff. So the wisdom that comes with that time, okay, and maybe life slows down a little bit by the time you're a grandfather, but think about it. If they know at 55 and 60 and 65 years of age to do that, wouldn't it make sense to do it anytime there before that? Absolutely. And that's an important thing. That's what wisdom is drawing from the experience of other people. So when you look at grandparents just longing for, they'll fly across country at the drop of a hat to see their grandkids for 10 minutes. And then you've got your child, or maybe your wife, or your son, son or daughter, just right there in front of you, asking for your attention, but you're too busy. And it's a tragedy. I know I've done it myself. I'm sure each of you can think of very recent experiences of that. But try to not provide so much in other ways and not do those important things.
Absolutely. All right, so women will often just beat around the bush trying not to offend you in an attempt to preserve the relationship, okay? So we try to not nag really hard, but if you're not picking up on the cues, we have to nag more, okay? So you can just respond to what we're doing and kind of stop it, or you can just keep ignoring it, and then we keep thinking that's what we need to do. Now, women, I'm not saying that nagging is the right approach. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying without having this education, this is just what happens, okay? And then when, so when really they would prefer a direct request outside of the moment. So really one of the best things to do to your husband is, not when he's leaving the dishes all over the place or whatever. You're not going to say it in the heat of the moment because he's going to get annoyed, okay? But later on when the kids are in bed, whatever, oh honey, I was just thinking, like, if you could, it would mean so much to me if you could not leave your dishes laying around. And I know that's me. I know that he's thinking.
I'm going to say that later.
But anyway, you say it nicely and out of the moment so that you're not emotional, because that's the problem. As emotional beings, okay, we tend to overreact, okay? When you think of most people that are dramatic, you're thinking of women because there's a lot of drama because we're so emotional, okay? And this can be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing. So women really do have the power to help men grow, though. That's the exciting thing. So men are basically like rubber bands. In order for them to get close to you, they first have to pull back, okay? Versus women who really, we could be together all the time in many cases. Now, not always. But so what happens is the man comes out of his cave. He's like, all right, I'm all renewed and I'm ready to roll, okay? So then he comes out. He wants to connect, okay? He wants to maybe talk and, cuddle or do whatever he wants to do. And now he's good. But after a while, he's going to get too much, and then he needs to pull back again so that he can kind of have a little bit of space, all right? Because men need their personal space. If you don't give it to them, they become resentful and they don't want to be around you. That's what happens. That's why women, it appears controlling when really it's just us starving for attention. And so if the husband's not letting us unload our purse, then we just try to no, you need to be with me because we're just grasping for whatever we can get. But that's why, men, it really starts with you. If you let us unload our purse, we can let you have your time, and then we can come back together and everything will be great. But men have to be able to pull away, and if you don't let them, you're going to lose him. It's very important. So do not just hover over him constantly. You need to get comfortable with them pulling back, and you must respect them and give their cave time, but then accept them again when they are ready to come back and connect again. And women are like waves.
Absolutely. All right, let's do this. Everyone stand up for a second, all right? 7th inning stretch here. We're pretty close. All right, we did it before. Now this time, just to kind of keep it simple, grab the shoulders of your spouse. Wake them up. Were they snoring next to you? Were they have to face away. They can face each other, all right? Get in there, wake them up, all right? Rub their shoulders. They're going to do yours next, so do a good job. All right? Scratches, come on. Little like karate chops, whatever it would be to just get them circulating. You've been sitting a long time here, all right? Now my turn. Hurry. All right. Flip around. Oh, come on, Sam. She needs a wake up. Oh, fantastic.
Awesome. Scratch your back.
All right. Yeah, this is the part where women are better at. They have more nails. All right.
And karate
awesome.
chops.
Yeah.
Awesome. Got
Why do they do that in
fun.
baseball? 7th inning stretch, because people are going to start to fall asleep before the good stuff happens. All right. So go ahead and have a seat. Thank you. I know some of this, may be lengthy, but please, the information is very important. Women are like waves. Men, who would agree? All right. Thank you. Women, do you think you're like waves? Anyone? All right. Yes, thanks for being honest. All right. Learn how to go with the flow. If properly timed, that ship, that boat, can just go miles. Mistimed, that will sink and drown, okay? So just remember that, understand that. Why? Okay, I study this all the time. Believe it or not, I'm a nerd for endocrinology, okay? And women have this thing called a cycle. And it is 100% what allows them to be able to have a child. It is 100% which may prevent them from being able to have a child. It is what contributes to them having PMS. It is what helps them to avoid having PMS, okay? There's a cycle of hormones that are flatlined here. This thing has a laser. I don't need it probably, right? I don't want to do something weird.
Yeah.
All right, progesterone's real flat on day 14, ovulation, when the cycle is kicking into the next gear, it spikes, okay? And then estrogen, which spikes just before that, crashes before that, okay? Different things contribute to that cycle being in balance. But either way, it is a wave. Understand that. Men, we don't have that. We have one hormone, and it kind of goes right across there. It's like a heartbeat. Once in a while, it goes up, and then it kind of comes down, and that's, usually another subject. We'll talk about that later. All right. All right. So I have to stand over here a little bit more. Oh, I didn't lose you.
What'd you do now?
I didn't do it. I'm telling you. There we go. All right. Dealing with stress. It's the right one, right? Okay.
I don't
good.
know. Yeah.
Okay, so if a woman is stressed, run. Okay, just kidding. All right. Don't say, don't worry about it, it's no big deal, okay? I mean, if she was describing her day, Becky's leaving, she's one of my favorite patients. I'm like, honey, it's no big deal, you've got other patients. I'm downplaying all of her emotional connections she's had with this patient for all that time. It is a big deal, and understand that. But don't come in and try to fix it all either. Oh, yeah, we'll make it better. Let's call Becky, let's do this and talk about the staff. No. Just listen, okay? She will feel hurt and angry. You're not understanding her. You ever hear those words? Honey, you're not listening. Honey, you don't understand. And you're like, yes, I do. I have the answer to your problem. I can totally fix this. And then you're getting in each other's face. You're like, I'm not the enemy. Why are you arguing with me? Because she doesn't want you to fix it, okay? You don't understand because you don't understand. You understand how to fix it, but you don't understand how to fix her. Oh. She just wants to be heard. Okay, so think about that. That was actually pretty wise. Okay, so remember that. All right. Makes it worse. She will only stay in a bad mood longer, and I can prove this thousands of times, at least until you are too, right? So now you're in a bad mood. All right, cool. Now everything's at least even keel, right? Men brag about making their wives happy, right? Yeah, I'm doing a pretty good job. Things are going along pretty well. Women brag about their husbands making them happy. All right, nice. Isn't that awesome? So either way, they have to end up being happy at the end of the day. Both are bragging, but usually who's in charge of making them happy? Probably them, okay, if we just get a little credit for it. 1 point. All right, women as multitaskers tend to focus on everything, right? We've seen that happen. If good mood, focus on all the good, all right? Try to get them in a good mood. If bad mood, focus on all the bad mood and get overwhelmed, all right? They empathize with her. What does that mean? Stop talking. Listen. 2 people talking, okay, doesn't always work. Understand her. Be present in the moment with her and let her unload her purse. Do you guys understand what present really means? And I don't mean the thing you unwrap, okay? Present. What? Mindfulness. Yeah. You're giving them your mind, your full attention. It is hard to do. And men, if you're not used to doing it, it is uncomfortable. Okay? We talk about coming in a room and giving a stern handshake and, hey there, sir, and you can learn to do that. But when your wife is talking to you and her emotion is coming out, you want to do this, you want to do this, you want to look away, you want to put the shoes on for the workout, you want to do something. Oh, I'm hearing you. Oh, yeah, I'm getting everything she's saying. Gathering all 5% of the 100% she's trying to get me to hear. Or if I just look at her and I'm present. Okay? That hero that goes and conquers the dragon, okay, does whatever. You think he's partially present? You think he's doing something else at the same time, talking on the phone? No. 100% fully engaged or fully engaged, present. I fail at this often. I teach this. It's hard, but try. Get better at it.
But he's been better this week since we've been studying.
That's why we don't do this for you guys. I'm sorry.
We
This
do
is
it
a
for
very
us.
selfish endeavor because we get better in our relationship, okay? Ask our children, all right? So, but basically let her unload her purse. I'll tell you, the first time you do it, it could be painful. You're like, really? And it actually takes longer for her to relive her day than the day actually was. A 2-hour day takes 2.5 hours to re-describe because she has to put her emotion into the equation. It's painful, okay? And you think in 10 minutes you could fix it, or no, you'll have to stay up for 6 hours to try to undo what you did in your 10 minutes of speaking too much. If a man has a bad day, it's okay to say, don't worry about it, honey, okay? Try to build them back up. It's okay. It'll be fine, all right? Point out a good idea or point they made. Maybe, oh man, I said to my boss and this and that, and they just didn't understand it. Wow, that's a really good point you made. My boss didn't think so, but thanks, I appreciate that, yeah. Yeah, there's my point, a little, okay, puff up a little bit there. All right, point out some way they provided for you that day. Example, because of your hard work, I was able to be there for our daughter when she had a bad day. I'm sorry that I missed that, I could be there for Lexi or Kirsten, but wow, I was providing for the family. I wasn't there, it kind of resolved, a lot of stuff happened, but it's because I went out there and slayed the dragon, brought home the bacon. All right, cool. Little pat on the back, right? Not pride points exactly, but just, wow, I contributed to this good thing over here being able to happen in some way.
And if you really want to make him happy, just say, wow, you're right, honey, because it'll probably be the first time he's ever right.
Exactly, especially on a bad day. Primary focus, women. All right, this is going to be a lot of bullet points here.
Right,
and we
5 more minutes.
Might
5 more
blitz
minutes.
through this, okay? Just stay with us here, all right? And then you'll be so wise, it'll be great. All right, women, communication, intimacy, and connection. All right, it's all about the talking, all about the connection. Interdependence. Men, freedom. We don't communicate when we're free. We're running around doing our own thing. Okay, independence. Status, competition. Come on, men, you want to make everything a competition. The kids are in the parking lot at Walmart, beat you to the car, and you were complaining in the store how your knees are killing you, and you're in a full-out sprint trying to beat your 3-year-old to the car. I mean, come on, everything is about competition. Making decisions, all right? How does this work? Women often naturally consult with their husband before deciding, hey, honey, tell me a little bit about your opinion, what's going on? Like discussing and making decisions together, bonding, right, connection. Men often feel comfortable making decisions without consulting their wife. Oh, okay, I'm going to buy a new house, okay? I got a great deal, $30,000. We can rehab this thing, get home and tell the wife about it. Not a good idea. Sometimes feel oppressed by lengthy discussions regarding a decision. Oh, that takes a long time to
I thought I changed
that needs to be
Sorry.
made. Do we really have to talk about this? It just makes so much sense, okay? A lot of wisdom there. Listen to it. Prefer taking action over discussion. And sometimes we fail. Oh, cool, this one's good.
Yeah,
all right, making and complying with requests. Women, many women are inclined to do what is requested or suggested of them. Can you help me with this? Can you do this? Not demanding, but requested of them. Will gently make requests and suggestions to avoid the risk of conflict or disagreement. Don't really want to rock the boat more than you have to.
We beat around the bush.
Beat around the bush. What do you want to do for dinner? I don't know. What do you? Just you tell me, honey. Okay. Men, resist being told what to do. Feel like their independence and freedom are being encroached upon. Really? Again? It's just, they get frustrated very easily. Express their wishes and requests more directly. That can come across as anger or confrontation or upset or just direct, okay? Sometimes with a little bit of a louder voice.
Kind of like when I wanted to go on a date.
Okay, well, we have enough stories tonight, so let's just go on.
All
right, go ahead.
So, what was it? Probably 2 months ago, the kids were going to go to this 7-hour party for Youth for Christ or something like that. And I'm like, oh, wow, the kids will be gone. Maybe we can go on a date. And he's like, oh, okay. And then all of a sudden, we get home, and he's like, well, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I don't know. And now, I'm very simple to please, okay? It doesn't matter. He knows where I like to go out. He could have easily figured this out. And he's like, well, what do you want to do for our date? And I'm like, well, I don't know. And I wasn't lying. I just really wanted him to guess, just how it goes. And he just kept asking me, he's like, Shirley, like, I really don't know what we should do. And I'm like, Joe, am I that difficult to understand? Like, you know where I like to go. Just take me somewhere. But he didn't get the fact that I just wanted him to be my hero, make the decision, and just take me and wherever, because he knows I'm easy.
And to me, I'm thinking, you know, we've eaten at most of these restaurants sometime in the last month or whatnot, so why do the same thing, okay? And it's not a lot of, like, other fun activities to do, so I wanted her to give me some creative idea to make her happy, to get my 1 point. Instead, I lost 10. Exactly. And she still remembers it, of course. There was some emotion to that. Communication style. Women, they communicate indirectly. Case in point, goal to build relationships and avoid discord. Or in my mind, create a discord because I'm like, just tell me. But she doesn't want to. She doesn't want to be a man. She wants to be a woman. Sherlock Holmes, guess. Use qualifiers like kind of, sort of, or a little.
That's because of insecurity. We don't want to, you know.
No absolutes. That way, you know, I might be judged or hurt in some way by that absolute statement. Men, communication is short, more direct, solution-oriented, tend to use broader vocabulary with lots of facts.
And that's why women often get hurt, because men are very to the point instead of sugarcoating it just a little bit so that it doesn't hurt us.
Absolutely. Tend to use more absolutes, okay? None, always, never. Don't ever, never, ever use those. None. Okay? Those things, all right? Communication continued. Women, ask for information, direction, or advice because it shows the other person you trust them, making them feel good, creating connection. I mean, it's kind of like driving, right? They'll sometimes ask for directions. Men, you never will. You'll drive off a cliff before you'll ask for directions. Acknowledge and encourage often. Okay? That's obviously, you know, probably how kids survive. Because the mother's always there, hey, good job, and the drawing's great, and all these other things. And Dad's like, boy, I hope we have another child that's a little better, you know, than this one at drawing, okay? I mean, they're a little bit just more like, hey, the fact is the fact, okay? Men don't like to ask for help, like direction, sends message of inferiority if someone else has information they don't have. I mean, how crazy is that? You're in an area of the world you've never been to, and there's some guy in a tractor who's lived there 95 years, and you don't want to ask him for directions because he knows something that you don't know. Genius? Of course he does. He lives there, okay? But we don't want to do that because we feel inferior in some way by doing that.
Thank God for Google.
Yeah, now at least the phone. Oh, yeah, I don't mind if the phone tells me, okay? That's no big deal. Givers of information, okay? We just have to own it all. Detail orientation. Women, we're getting there. Oh, the slow one.
Oh, I missed another one, sorry.
Enjoy sharing details of their lives with others. This is a sign of closeness. Lots of talking, lots of communication. I'm going to do that faster in between these. Let's just blitz through them. All right, good. All right. They give a lot of detail when speaking, thus the 2.5-hour description of the 2-hour day. It's going to happen because the emotions intertwined within it all. Men don't like discussing details of their lives or problems with others. I have a lot of meetings. I have a lot of interactions with people, and my wife ultimately wants to know how things went. I don't want to remember it. And I think during it, I forget it. So I get home, I'm like, I have no idea what happened. It went well, it went good, it went poor. That's really about all she can get out of it.
Like, give me details. What did she say?
What did my brain to reiterate, to go over that. It is like really, really challenging. So it's more stressful than the event. So I'm just like, honey, just understand it went well, you know, and sometimes I'll get bits and pieces back once I'm kind of defragged or I've gone to my cave after that. But it is challenging to my brain. Okay, they like discussing business or politics, but not personal relationships. Often because they're facts, just the facts, ma'am. All right, don't notice details. Oh, you got your hair colored. Oh, you got your hair cut. Okay, remember the reminder? It goes a long way, all right? Man, you probably like when they acknowledge you for your haircut. Not a big deal, but you're not telling them 3 days in advance that you're doing it, except to maybe remind you to go to it. That's about it, okay? But with women, it's about, pay attention, you're gonna get that point, or you're gonna lose it. And they kind of want to watch, and they're kind of like fluffing their hair in front of you when you get home and stuff. All those other hints, okay? Okay? And if you miss it, hey, buddy, I'm sorry. I'll pray for you. All right, listening. Women, they use a lot of body language and mirror the emotions being expressed by the talker. All over, a lot of Italian movements, all over the place, all right? Tend to listen and agree for connection purposes. That's what they're doing. It's all about connecting. Think about the difference. Hunters and gatherers. Hunters, you got one horse here, you got another horse half a mile away, and another one a mile over there. Gatherers, women. They're all in a pack, and oh, did you see that? Oh, what's going on in your tent? And oh, all this other stuff, and they're all together. I mean, since the dawn of time, they're always close together, and men are out doing these far apart things. Hey, what did you get? I got a buffalo. Well, I got a squirrel, all right? They're competing with each other, okay? It's all about differences. Men, okay, they're more stoic in their response. So something great happens, interesting, okay? Women all over the place with the emotional, stuff, okay? Don't usually show emotions easily. I mean, remember, general stereotyping, okay? We can show emotions, but often in the heat of the battle, it's a little bit just stoic. Need someone to listen and agree for status and power. Tell your story. They listen, fish was this big, and the guy's like, oh. And then again, but you're done. Gives you the pat on the back. Tell me about your fish story. Well, maybe not fish, because that's competition. They got to tell about their thing, their yard, their driveway, their this, okay? It's all about the competition in some way. All right, listen to facts so they can store away for future use. We want to use those things.
So they can be a know-it-all.
Know-it-all, yes, absolutely. Big brain. Women, stay friendships. Difference. Women, stay close and in constant touch and discuss minor life developments, little things sometimes. Pursue small talk with no specific outcome or aim. We're just talking. Which can be crazy to me, okay? Just talk. Where are you going with it? Just talking, all right? No, not getting anything out of it. Downplay their own accomplishments to connect with others. You're such a good mom. I mean, your kids are doing great. Oh, thank you, I appreciate it. But your kids are amazing. I mean, I just see that all the time, and it's just they're back and forth, no competition, just a nice friendly game of like badminton, no stride and a spike, versus men, it's just tennis, smack, and just exhausting the other person because it's about competition. Non-constant touch with closest friends, but can call on them anytime if in need. I mean, how often is that the case? You don't see a guy for 5 years, and then you call him up and say, hey, John, can I borrow the backhoe and we can do this? Hey, sure, I'll bring it over. I'll work with you, and we'll just do a whole day's trip. Hey, it's a great friend of mine, John. We haven't seen each other in 5 years, but that's how friends are. They just come in at the time of need, okay? But they're still friends. Women would be like, oh, Susie, I don't think she likes me anymore. We haven't seen each other in 35 minutes, and it's just crazy. And I posted this thing, and she didn't respond, and it's very frustrating, okay? So only call if they have a specific reason to their friend. And they're like, hey, I'll just talk about John. Hey, John, what's up? Not much. Tell me about your day. Okay, what do you want to hear? Oh, nothing. Things going well? Family's good? Yeah, okay. And it would get uncomfortable at a point. Like, do you need something? Need my backhoe again? No, I just wanted to talk. All right, cool. Great talking to you. All right, talk to you later. I mean, he'd be like, all right, that guy's weird, okay? You wouldn't want that. It's a total different situation. Focus on and expand their accomplishments and share them with others. Obviously, that's part of the pride points that we have once in a while. Problem solving, that's what we're about, men, right? So process problems by talking about them, not because they want to have a solution, okay, but to be understood and create rapport with the other person. Women tend to match troubles with each other. Back and forth, little thing like we said before. Like discussing and making decisions together, okay? It's just part of the bonding process. Men, problem solvers, focus on taking action to solve the problems. It's all about the outcome. Get to the end, all right? Typically do not engage in extraneous conversation while completing a task. I'm in the office all the time, and I'm working on things, and I'm doing things, and people come in, and they're talking, and I literally have gotten to the point, for me to actually ever get anything done, I have to say, do you mind if I do this at the same time? Because otherwise, I just can't, it's hard for me to stop and then go back to the thing. So I have to kind of like try to do both.
And then he works with a bunch of women who constantly want to connect.
They're all great. Love you, Heather. Okay, all the rest. Okay, but it's tough to do sometimes. All right.
Ooh, what happened again?
Oh, that was me again.
What'd you do?
I don't know.
You're talking too much.
Dealing with disagreement. Well, these never happen, but if we happen to do this, all right, women, more concerned about disagreement posing a threat to intimacy. They don't want it to affect that closeness, that bonding, that connection. Men do not avoid challenge and confrontation because they do not see them as a threat. That's how we often get in trouble. Someone cut me off and they want to confront it. Women are like, maybe not. They don't want to rock that boat. We're wrapping it up. Interruption. Women tend to overlap conversation with words of support, agreement, and anticipation. Okay? Men, interruption by others makes them feel disrespected. So if we were talking and she's like chiming in and doing this, I'd be like, can I just finish? I mean, I really just want to say this, okay? And it can be a little hard for a man. And women also prefer to not be disrupted, but will allow it to maintain the peace if need be. They don't really love it, but hey, it's part of the process. So I'll let you talk about the next lesson.
You'd think you were a woman, how much you talk.
I've never heard that before.
All right, so the general theme here, guys, is that we need to appreciate, respect, and love the differences, because these are good. And the next lesson next week, we're going to talk about masculine, feminine natures and how to spend most of the time in your natural essence and what to do about role reversal, okay? We have our essence that I believe God gave us, okay? It's our nature. It's the way that we were intended to be most of the time, okay? I am a doctor. We own a business. I have staff. Guess what? I do need to become a little masculine sometimes, and sometimes I go too far, and that's kind of what destroyed our relationship in the beginning, and that's what this is all going to be about. So I know I said this was the best one, but the next one's going to be the best one, so you're going to have to come to that one too. So, because this is huge. When we first learned about this role reversal stuff, we were at a seminar with over 5,000 people. And it was a Tony Robbins seminar, and okay, I mean, he is, I guess, a Christian, but it's not anything about, he's doing a secular presentation. But he gets the fact that God made us differently, okay? So like I said, all truth comes from God. They can put it in a secular package, and so it seems more acceptable, but it all basically is the same, because if it's a truth, it comes from God. And he said, how many of you feel you've got some kind of role reversal going on? And including us, every single hand in that building, 5,000 people went up. So if you think you do not have this problem, you're wrong. Okay? Because you most likely do. And if you really think that, you're probably worse than everybody else, because if you can kind of tell, well, I'm being a little bit too much either in my masculine, if I'm a woman or whatever, this is a big destroyer of relationships, okay? And again, we're going to talk about this more next time. And yes, there's exceptions, because I know everybody's brewing already. Oh, okay, but I promise you, you will understand it. So tonight we have a homework assignment, okay? Last week I forgot to tell you what your homework assignment was. So for last week, you have to remember we talked about being a hero, that in order for your marriage to really get better, one of you at least has to decide to be the hero, okay? If you made that decision last week, or maybe it took you a week because you procrastinated, if you've decided that you're going to be that hero, tonight I want you to look your spouse in the eyes, I want you to be present, and I want you to say, honey, I love you so much, I've decided that I'm going to be your hero, okay? My goal is that both of you will say it. I really hope, because if both of you are willing to commit to this, then you have no choice but to have a successful marriage. There is absolutely no choice, because if both of you are going to push forward and make it happen, it's going to happen, okay? And so that's your one homework assignment for last week. And then for tonight, men, you're going to practice letting your wife unload her purse, and women, you're going to practice letting your man have cave time. Okay? And when you feel like you're fuming because your husband wants to go lift weights or do something, then just say to yourself, I'm investing in the relationship. And husbands, when you're like, really, I have to sit here and listen to this like forever, okay? You're investing time in your relationship. But remember, like Joe said, you need to be present, okay? The more present you are, the quicker it's done. If you check out like he did at the end of our 5-hour conversation, guess what? You get no points. And so you don't want to lose your
And the
points.
story is told in infamy, and now it's recorded on YouTube.
All right, well, thank you guys. I'm sorry this one was so long, but I hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully you'll all be back next week.
Thank you very much.
Good job. Good job.